Climax, Bobby
Check
Boucher.
1, 2, check.
Let's go.
Let's do it, man.
In the attic.
That's it.
Dr. Gold. Croc mode. Welcome aboard. Tell me about this Taylor Swift after party. Was it a bachelorette situation?
Yeah, so we did a wedding, Omni William Penn, right, to 11 p.m. And then they hit me with, can you do our after party from 11 to 12?
Yep.
I can do it, yeah. But I have my equipment already set up. Now I got to, like, disconnect, run over to the next room, set my controller down. Oof. So it was kind of tough, but...
Well, it's just, you're still rocking a controller, no 1200s?
At the wedding, no. It depends. If they ask for it,
yeah,
I'll do it.
Yeah.
But usually it just goes over their heads anyway. They don't know what you're playing on. You know,
nobody wants to hear scratching at their wedding.
And I don't do that at a wedding, but I feel at my best when I am on turntables.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You learned on turntables?
Yeah.
With vinyl or was Serato era?
It was right in the mix.
Yeah.
Right in the mix. Like I started out on vinyl and literally like within a month or two, they were like, hey,
we got this new shit.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Was it Serato or Torque or like
Serato.
Virtual DJ?
I was using Serato.
Right away.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like Scratch Live.
Yep. Serato Scratch Live, yeah.
Do you remember like the initial feeling of trying to, like, can you describe what it felt like to have that technology, or like when somebody explained to you that you could play MP3s on records?
Right. Well, so I was new to the DJ game in general. So playing on the vinyl, I mean, you know how hard it is to play on regular vinyl. Just knowing, like, you know, the BPM of it, you know, where to drop the needle, having a heavy hand to make the needle skip. That's, you know, that was my problem right off the bat. You know, everybody has that heavy hand, right? And it was just like such a pain. And then my boy was like, hey, Serato just dropped this update. Check this out. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, he's like, you could put any song on these pieces of blank vinyl. And I'm like,
yep,
this is a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. It's a European company, right?
I don't know. I think so.
I feel like that might be European.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I remember the customer service has always been real interesting.
Yeah.
I still have the Scratch Live records.
Oh my. Those are originals right there, man.
Pretty early. That was like pianos and stuff and Blanox, I think, probably, with the phase control. Do you think phase was as big of a jump forward as like that initial piece of technology?
I think that was the problem. It had to be, right? Because, I mean, you're taking everything from lifting crates up and down steps and carrying them and doing all that, put it right onto that, you know, mixer. I think that would be bigger. But phase is definitely a game changer, though, for sure.
Did you have a big record collection, or you were?
I didn't. I had, like, when I started, I probably had 30 pieces of vinyl, one crate. And it was just from, you know, hand-me-downs, other DJs, hey, you can have this, you know, so I would just mess around with those. But
you already had a career, like.
Right. Well, no, at that time I didn't. I was still in college, so, like, I just started college when that happened. So that's when I fell in love with it. My boy Underdog took me to a wedding. He was like, I'll give you $60 to, like, just hang out with me and carry, you know, some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Carry some stuff.
Yeah.
And this was actually before Serato, so he still had, like, the CDs, the cases, right?
Yeah.
So he had, like, hockey bags filled with cases of CDs.
The big CD booklets.
Yeah, that I had to, like, carry and lug, right? Wasn't that bad, but when I went with him and did that first wedding and I seen him control that crowd, I'm like, man, I love music. Like, I want to do this. That's how I kind of got into it.
Were you already a musician?
No.
You just loved listening?
Just love music, man.
Was it just hip-hop, or was there something else that resonated with you?
I'm a big hip-hop guy. So, like, my brother, he's 10 years older than me. I would sneak into his room, steal his cassettes, you know, Jay-Z, stuff like that. And I was big hip-hop. Underdog, the guy who taught me, he's big hip-hop. He's old school, Tribe Called Quest, Gangstar. I love that. When I started going with him to weddings, he would be playing that stuff before, and I would just be like, oh, my God, like, I like this a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's when they told stories, you know what I mean? Like, during, like, it was just, I don't know, it was just a better time, I think, for music in general back then. But, yeah, I fell in love with, like, the hip-hop, and then just seeing him control that crowd, like, that was, like, amazing to me. I'm like, oh my God, I could do this. You know what I mean? So then just going with him over and over again, learning his, like, philosophy on DJing and weddings. Like I still use a lot of his tricks like today in my weddings. You know what I mean? Like just the way it's set up.
Yeah.
Because he's the GOAT when it comes to weddings. He's the GOAT. Like I mean, we've all been to how many weddings, right? I bet you can't count on one hand how many good DJs you've heard at weddings, right? So like Underdog, he was just like the standard. I took a little bit of what he does, mixed in now a little bit of stuff like that I do, and now I have like a good little twist. So.
And was it? I mean, I guess it was being a wedding DJ from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And you still do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I started off doing. Actually, I didn't really start off doing my own weddings yet. I wasn't that like good. What I did do was I got my own under 21 club gig out in Bethel Park. It was called Level 20.
Okay.
Right. Rich guy opens up a nightclub just for his 12-year-old son to have friends and hang out. That was the only reason why they opened this up. I think it's like a successful restaurant now, which is great for them. But I think at the time he opened this up just for his kid to have fun, hang out with his friends.
Wow.
Paid me to do it after like a summer of collecting checks. Went out and bought my own equipment. Didn't have to, use any hand-me-down stuff or, from friends. Got all my own gear. Started practicing like every day in my bedroom. Practice. Started getting a couple gigs here and there. And then, that's when like I started to meet like Nugget, guys like that, Zimmy, Bonix, all those guys. Then I started to like really get into DJing, and I'm like, wow. That's when like Wim, Station Square was open, and the only 3 guys that could DJ there were Bonix, Zimmy, and Nugget. They didn't let anybody else, and that's when I was like, man, I want to be one of those DJs. So
I remember one night I was hanging out with Bonix and Nugget after Nugget had just played Wim. It was like 2:30. I was hanging out with Bonix at Barroom, and we walked over to Wim to like meet up with Nugget to drive back to Mount Washington because they lived in apartments right next door to each other.
Right.
And we go to pick up Nugget, and he was too drunk to get down from the DJ booth. I don't know if you remember Wim was like this
it was all
tall thing.
Yeah.
It was so random because it wasn't like there was any room to hang out up there.
Yeah, right.
It was just like
exactly
this little tiny pyramid almost.
Right.
Like that was 20 feet up elevated
Right.
with maybe 16 steps to get up to it. It's just a weird layout. He just like rolls down those stairs. Like
I'm gonna ask him about that tonight.
Everyone, he will not remember. Oh my God. It was awesome. He was so fine. He was totally fine though. Maybe from the break dancing. He just kind of like capoeira'd his way. Like and
God, I just pictured that.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, those were good times. I feel like so what was it just the crowd reaction? Were you interested in battling or scratching? Was it like the hip hop, like the other elements of hip hop? What kind of drew you in?
I think it was being a performer.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't sing, can't rap, right? I grew up in Carrick, Allentown, Belsuver. I wanted to have that stage presence, but here I'm not good at any instruments, stuff like that. When I got on the turntables, I'm like, oh, wait, maybe I am. Like, because Underdog told me, like, you don't have to be the best at mixing, the best at scratching, the best at this and that. Music selection is like key when it comes to DJing. And like, I learned that over the years. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of good DJs that are like capable of doing some of the craziest stuff on turntables, fill in for me at gigs, and the next day they're like, don't ever bring this guy back because like he didn't know what to play.
Yep.
He could sit there and scratch and do and juggle all day long, but like the college girls out on the dance floor, they don't care.
Not at all.
They want to hear, like, you got to just know what songs to play. You know what I mean? And that's why I probably shouted him out 8 times already, but Underdog, man, his music selection is like top notch. I think that's why he's so successful today because like, you know what I mean? Like he can DJ an 80-year-old's birthday party, a bar mitzvah, to a club down in Southside tonight. You know what I mean? So like,
do you have an idea about where he built his library from? Was it all old records or tapes?
He's just a music head, man. He just loved music, just like
CDs
me. Just from all the way back then, CDs, collecting, listening to music. Like I said, he was a big hip hop guy. And yeah, that's how I fell in love with it too. And then like I said, watching him take control of the crowd at these weddings and having them all, on the
singing
dance floor.
along.
Oh,
and,
that
like,
was just
finishing the bars.
that amazed
dropping
me,
in the
man.
next
Yeah,
record.
and I'm like, I love music too. Like I can do this, and that's when I just started practice. And like I would go up in my room, a room just like this, and I would sit there and I would just like mix songs together all day.
You went out and bought your first set of Technics, or
Yep.
what did you?
Techniques, man.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this story. I bought them like right before Christmas. Saved up. I think there was 600 a piece.
Yep.
They came with the dust covers. Ordered them online, right? UPS guy shows up like maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. And I see the dude get out of the car. I'm all excited. I'm in my room. I'm watching. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for him to bring these out. Comes out with this little envelope. Right? Walks over and drops it in my mailbox. And I'm like, what is that? Like, that can't, I go down, I check it, pull it out. Name of the sender is the sender that was sending me the turntables.
Yeah.
I'm like, open it up. It was a iPad case he sent me. It was a scam, basically.
Wow.
So he sent me so now here I am 2 weeks before Christmas, right? Devastated.
Yeah.
I go on
It's a nice scam, though.
It was.
Yeah. Was it eBay?
Yeah, it was eBay. I went on there. I threatened this dude. I'm like, I'm going to hunt you down, man. You better send me these turntables.
Where was he? Was it in California or Florida or like in the U.S. or was it?
Yeah, he was from Philadelphia. And
Yeah,
I remember like looking him up and I went on a full detective mode, man. This might have been like my early version of policing, but I went full detective, found out where he went to high school, where he lived. I found all that out. And I'm like, hey, man, listen, I know you go to, Jefferson Hills middle school or, high school and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And he just immediately was like, I'll send you the money. Sorry. It was a mistake. I'm like, oh, okay.
Sure.
You mixed up the turntables with the case, right? So he sent me my money back. I ordered them from somebody else. They came. They were supposed to come. That was the year we had 20 feet of snow in Pittsburgh. So for a week I couldn't get them because everything was delayed. So I made my dad drive down to the UPS place and pick them up. Risk everything, right, to get these turntables.
Yeah.
Brought them back, set them up on my kitchen table, and left them there for 2 weeks. And I just practiced. And they were like, listen, you got to take this shit upstairs. This got to go.
You had to you had to come up.
If I have to hear shots one more time.
Oh, that's funny. That was the music that was going on.
Yeah,
so it would have been
2009,
10, or 2008, 9. You were in high school or college?
I just started college. Yeah.
Which was what college?
Point Park.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And what made you choose Point Park? What were you trying to do with your life?
Man, at that point, I had no idea. The reason why I chose that place was because I think my sister's two best friends went there, and they were like, "Oh, it's a great school. It's right." I live right up in Allentown, so it would take me 5 minutes to get there. I wanted to commute. I didn't want to go, to any bigger universities or anything like that. So Point Park was close. I'm a city boy. Felt right. I actually got a baseball scholarship. So,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why I ended up.
You and Wade, the big athletes. Wade Anthony.
Okay.
Wade Anthony Jr. Just
Yeah.
had him on. Just posted his episode, but he was at Duquesne for football.
Okay.
As a cornerback.
Nice.
That's how he ended up in the sneaker culture. But it's interesting. So, but college baseball is a big deal.
Yeah.
I guess you were playing varsity all 4 years high school, and
Yeah. So the thing about that was, I played varsity Carrick.
Yeah.
Back a little bit before that, Mount Oliver used to have a really big city league. We used to have so many kids there, and we had the best baseball teams.
So Carrick, and then Point Park. I didn't
Yeah.
even know there were sports at Point Park. I thought Point
Yeah.
Park was all drama, musical theater.
It was when I started there, I think the only real men's team was baseball. I think that was the only thing at the time. I could be wrong, but yeah, I mean, I showed up to classes. I'd be the only guy in the class of 50. You know what I mean? That was almost every class, and I didn't.
It's not a bad look.
Yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, so we started out Mount Oliver. Our team was great, and then when we started going to high school, everybody was going to Carrick. My parents wanted to send me to Central Catholic, and I'm like, I'm not going to Central. All my friends were going to Carrick, and finally they let me go to Carrick, which was a huge mistake. Carrick was awful. Just the worst.
The quality of education wasn't high.
Yeah, that, and just going
Because Joe wasn't the principal.
He wasn't yet. No, he didn't turn that around yet. No, but yeah, it was bad. You had to go through 3 different metal detectors to even walk through the door. There's only one door open every morning, so there was a line. Just
Wow.
so much trouble. But anyway, we went there thinking, oh, we'll bring that powerhouse baseball team to Carrick, and we did, and we won like city championships. But I don't think it was worth the education, and you know, just it was just a bad school. But
when did you end up in the police academy?
that was 2012.
And was it you were already DJing, but you kind of felt like you needed a 9 to 5 to fill in the gaps or something? Or what was it? Or felt called to serve? Or
well, so I would say my senior year of college was when I started to really get good at DJing. That's when like I did my first DJ battle at the Goldmark, and I won that. So like after winning that, that's when like people started to know my name, started booking me at other clubs. And then, my sister came to me, and my sister's kind of like my second mom, right? She's like my mom's enforcer. And she's like, you need to get a real job, And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I'm graduating, whatever. And she was a cop at the time for the city of Pittsburgh.
Interesting.
So, and also her fiance at the time was also a city cop. They're now married. But she was like, hey, listen, the police test is coming up. They're doing a mass hiring. Like, just take the test. Even if you don't want to be a cop down the line, this is like a long process. You have time to think about it. So I'm like, okay. So I took the original test. Next thing you know, like, I was just speeding through everything, and they were like handing me like a badge and a gun. And I'm just like, wow, this, what happened here?
They really needed, I guess, more police officers in Pittsburgh.
Right at that time, and they still do to this day, but right at that time, so many people retired, and they put on like maybe like 5 classes, and I was like in that first class. So immediately I had like seniority. Like, you know what I mean? Like all these classes coming after me.
I remember this. I have a great story for this. And I was just thinking about it today because somebody was talking about working at McDonald's. My first day, I walked into the McDonald's on Plymouth Road in Ann Arbor. The guy gives me a mop and a bucket. He says, "You're new. It's your first day. You have to go clean the bathroom." I go, damn. Clean the bathroom, go home. Day 2, I show up. There's a new person standing next to me. The guy looks at me. He goes, "Hey, you got to clean you're new. You got to clean the bathroom again." Hands me the mop and the bucket. I look over to the right, hand the mop and the bucket to the person who showed up the day after me.
Right.
So, like, you never want to be the very bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, right. Especially like in the police force, because like that's how you get your pass days. Your days off, like, when they hold people for overtime, they go right at the bottom and start there. So, coming out and having people below you is like unheard of. There's like all these old timers, 25 years on the job that are like, you're lucky you have all these people coming out because some of them would go for years and still be at the bottom. You know what I mean? And especially with like picking pass days after like 2 years on the job, I had like, a Friday, Saturday off. And that's unheard of. Like some old guys are like, listen, it took me 20 years to get a Friday, Saturday off.
Did you work with Jay Spin?
I didn't. He was like a suburbs cop.
You were in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
What was your beat? Or what were you doing?
So when I started, I was Zone 1, which is the north side of Pittsburgh, night turn. Yeah.
I used to DJ at the North, what was it called? Northside Tavern.
Okay.
I think it's called. The place where you can put the peanut shells on the floor.
Yeah.
It was not the best neighborhood. I remember ducking from gunshots by the park when I was leaving the gig with my mom. Both of us were kind of hiding behind her Subaru.
Jesus.
Just like waiting for the gunshots to stop. And
yeah, the north side, I mean, it's a big zone. The one thing I liked about it, it had a little bit of everything. You had like the nice part of Brighton Heights, where people would wave to you, say, "Hey, how you doing today? Thank you for your service," type people, right?
Yeah.
And then you got then you got the North Shore, which is just like the drunks on the weekends, right? The Taco Bell down there. It's like you could just sit there and get a DUI on everybody that's coming through Taco Bell at 2 a.m.
Oof.
And then we have a couple projects around some bad areas. So like, if you wanted to go hang out up in the nicer area and shake hands and kiss babies, you could do that. If you wanted to go out and chase gangbangers, you could do that.
Was it really like that? Like they would let you do whatever you wanted to do?
Well, so that zone, usually they'll assign different cars to different areas in the zone. Like you work Mount Washington, you work Southside. Our zone was just like a floating zone. Just go wherever you wanted.
Yeah, and you're not walking. You're in a cruiser.
Yeah, I was in a cruiser.
Driving around.
Yeah.
With a partner.
Sometimes.
Sometimes by yourself.
Yeah, well, when I first started, the first day, the lieutenant, I'll never forget this. We were doing roll call. When you first get in there, you have to do roll call, right? You have to stand there with your asp, which is like your baton thing, right? You stand there and they call your name, and then here, put your arms under, fold them, right? And I'm sitting there like all new, right? Everybody comes in. I'm sitting there with my shined boots, my pants were all
pressed, cleaned, yeah.
Cleaned. Everybody else kind of came in like looking like they've been there for years and just miserable. And I come in, I'm just like, here, and the lieutenant looks at me. He goes, "You're new, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know how to drive the police car yet?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, throws me the keys. He's like, "All right, you're on your own tonight."
On your first day?
Yeah. He's like, "You got a phone with GPS?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, you'll be good. Keys." And I'm just like, now I'm not from the north side. I'm from the south side, right? I've never really go over to the north side unless it was like a Pirate game, Steeler game, and I don't know any streets. So that's one thing. I was super nervous. I'm like, I don't know where to go. And you would think police cars have GPS in them.
Sure.
Right? You think that it just pops up? Oh no. I mean, I don't know what they have now, but like
you had to know where you were going.
Everybody pulled it up on their phone. So not only am I working a phone, a computer, plus driving at high speeds
with a gun on your belt.
Right. So like it was tough. And an old guy told me right off the bat, he's like, "Listen, you're only gonna need to know like 3 streets." He's like, "Just know those 3 streets and you'll be good." And those were like literally the only streets that things happened on.
Yeah.
So like at first I got it. And then like
East Ohio.
East Ohio was one, yeah.
Yep.
East Ohio, Brighton Road, and then like California.
Yep.
Just like those 3 like major roads that kind of get you Perrysville Avenue, just to kind of get you everywhere you needed to go.
Why'd you stop?
Man, that's like how much time do we got, man?
Until you burn out from the heat. We can take little breaks and turn on the air conditioner periodically.
So this is actually I am allowed to talk about it now. So this is the first time I'm like actually talking about it on like a podcast radio. Crazy story, man. So little backstory. I was in the north side for I want to say it was 6 years at the time. During that time, I wasn't like the gangbanger cop that went out and got drugs, guns, and did all that. Like for one, like we were so shorthanded all the time. If you would go out and you would do that stuff, then like you weren't available for backup if someone really needed it. So like I would, we got so many 911 calls every day, like so many. We're so busy. I couldn't do my own things. Like the suburbs, those guys can sit at stop signs. They can, do their little investigations. We're just constantly running, right? So,
and what kind of calls would it be? Domestic violence, gunshots, like anything?
Yes.
Anything.
Pursuits.
Accidents.
Shootings. Those were like an everyday occurrence. Like for instance, like my sister out in the suburbs, she'll get like maybe 2 calls a night. Wow. And it might be like, hey, these kids are in the park after 11.
Yeah,
go kick
firecrackers.
them out, right? I'm like, I had 30 calls tonight. 2 of them were pursuits where we chased people all the way through McKees Rocks. There was a rape that we like actually pulled up on and we had to like chase the guy, and like it was just craziness. It was legit craziness. It like every day you go into work in the city, you never knew like what you were going to see or what you were going to do.
You're wearing body armor. Some
days like you walk in the door and there would be something going off right at roll call, and you didn't even have a roll call. You had to get in your car and like fly up there. Some days you might come in and nothing might happen. You might just be sitting there. So like it was wild. It was definitely, that's one thing why I loved the job, because it was something new every single day. I wasn't like a paper pusher dude. Like I couldn't go sit behind a desk and sit there and do the same stuff every day. This was cool. I love the north side. I moved to the PM shift, which was 3 to 11, which was great for me in my 20s, because like I would be off by like 10:30 and I could go out. I could go out. I could go down to the North Shore. I could go to South
Were you
Side.
DJing or no?
So I stopped DJing for a little bit because during the police academy, which was like 11 months, I didn't really have time to do that. Once I got out, I was Tuesday, Wednesdays off, so I didn't have
not the biggest,
weekends. So after like 2 years, and I was still doing like a gig here and there, but after like 2 years, that's when I was able to get like Thursday, Friday off. And then I would bank all this extra comp time instead of taking money for like court and stuff. And once you get like 8 hours, it was a day off whenever you wanted. So everybody else is taking the double time and a half because they need the extra money. Here, I had like, little DJ gigs where I was making extra money. So I would take comp hours. And then like when the summertime came, I would have, a stack of these days and I would just blow through them. I would start taking 3-day weekends. I would start taking Saturdays off. So then I would start getting back into the DJ game a little bit.
Nice.
And then
did you miss it? Like when you took time off for the police academy and things? Yeah.
Because that's when I was starting to get hot. I won like my first DJ battle. People were starting to book me. At that time, before that, I was doing spring break in Daytona Beach, where they would pay me for the full month to go down there during March.
Yeah. You were telling me the story of the Goldmark. That sounded insane. So,
it was insane.
Who was the connection for that? Or you can't, I don't want to Derek for real you.
No. The connection was somebody that was related to like my dad's side of the family. It was like a second cousin, right?
Oh, wow.
Like a second, third cousin.
Yeah.
They ran this place called the Hawaiian Inn, which was this hotel down in Daytona Beach. And they ran like the Hawaiian show inside and they ran the pool bar outside. Yep. So they didn't really own the hotel. They just owned that and the pool bar. Well, they hired me to come down to work the pool bar the whole month. And like I would get in trouble every day by security because like the homeowners in the hotel would hate the spring break stuff, right? And that's what the pool bar people catered to, like the spring breakers. But anyway, so I did that the full month. Those were awesome. So like I had to stop doing those because I was a cop now. I couldn't take off a full month.
It would be like April or March.
Yeah, it was
March.
the full. Yeah,
all of March basically.
Yeah, full. And like the first 2 weeks are bike week, and then it's spring break. Well, it's spring break the whole month, but the first 2 weeks are bike week. But those were always the toughest because I would have a crowd of like the badass bikers and then like these like college girls, right? But I learned like as long as I kept those college girls dancing, those bikers didn't care. They loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was so anyway, that's why I stopped doing those gigs. I love those, but I had to stop those for the police force. And then, back to the police thing. I would say maybe like 5 years into it, that's when, I started to DJ a lot more. Get more gigs and stuff like that. And that's when everybody started noticing like, oh my God, you're a DJ? And I'm like, yeah, I DJ. And they would never believe it. And when I'm DJing, no one would believe I'm a cop, right? So, some of the administration scene, like, I'm a DJ, they would always see like what I would be doing out in public. I was the cop that like, stopped and played basketball with the kids. I did a couple dances for Propel School over in the north side where like I would show up in full uniform, turntables, DJ their like dances, and they would like the kids would come up like blown out of their mind, like, oh my God, like you can't play this, like you're a cop.
That's so
cool. And it was just like I wanted to show them like, listen, I'm just like you just because I have this uniform on, you know what I mean? Like
Think
I love
about how many
hip-hop
lives you might have affected by that. I mean,
right.
how
so
many
they were,
kids
like,
just
blown.
grow up with this idea that
right.
the police is the enemy, pig this, pig that, and you I mean, who knows how many lives you saved, man?
Right. So
that's crazy.
So like I try to tell them, I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter what color you are, who you work for, whatever you do. I'm like, music's music. Everybody loves it. So that was one way to like, talk with, younger kids about music. And they would just be like fascinated that I knew like like some of the artists that they liked. I'm like, I like them too. And they're just like, wow, like I didn't think like cops were allowed to like this music. You know what I mean? And that was like the truth.
Sure.
They were like baffled in a way. So I did all that stuff. I love that stuff. I love working with kids. After like 6 years now in, my commander came to me and was like, hey, I want to make you like the neighborhood resource officer. So basically you're going to have your own little station up in, I think it was like Troy Hill. We'll set you up with a computer. You can handle all like, we get so many 911 calls every day. Say the same person keeps calling every single day. Well, you might not get the same cop. You might get a different cop. They might tell you a different story. They might not know what's going on with you and your neighbor. So they wanted a guy like me to kind of go handle those calls and like know these people. So right before we started to do that, that's when I moved over to Crafton Heights. I moved out off of Climax Street. That's where the name came from, by the way.
No, it was porn work, I thought.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was actually Climax Street over in Allentown.
When did you get your name?
Underdog, after the first wedding I worked with him, he dropped me off and he was like, I got to call you DJ Climax, right? And I was like, yeah, cool. And it just stuck.
It was like even before you had really started working. So it was like
Yeah. So
awesome.
it just like, it stuck. Truthfully, like I still don't even like the name to this day. But people are like, dude, it's the best, like to keep it. But I'm like, how many weddings or gigs did I lose out on just because of my name? You know what I mean? Like, hey, I booked DJ Climax for my wedding.
I was definitely a little shocked the first time I heard it, but I think that's kind of cool. I mean, for me,
that's
it was
what people
always
say,
like
yeah.
a little bit edgy. It's a little bit, it's sort of powerful, right?
Right.
I want to have sex educators and like sex workers and sex therapists and things on my podcast.
Right.
I try to make it a point to ask every single patient about their sex lives.
Right.
We have this whole puritanical thing in this country where we just have to pretend that we're non-sexual beings.
Yeah, right.
We put up this blockade in front of ourselves, like we're just these kind of aliens with no sex organs that just like, all the babies are just coming from nowhere. The stork, right? The stork is the perfect example.
It is.
Right. Why is there a fucking stork that flies in and holds the baby in its mouth? It's because we can't talk about sex. It's this dirty little secret.
Right.
And then this idea that we could be getting pleasure. No, that's a whole nother level. The idea that you might enjoy it, that you might enjoy your body, that you might, have an experience for yourself. Without being called a hedonist. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And sexual liberation movements in this country have always been met with resistance, always.
Right.
The hippies, they were derided. They were called, dropouts, tune in, turn on, drop out, drug addicts, etc. But what were they really talking about? They were talking about sexual liberation, burn the bra, free love.
Right.
Not having to get married in order to have kids, not having to get married in order to make love or have a partner, a sexual partner, abandoning these mores like just having one sexual partner or just being in a relationship with one person and just living with one person. People were living in communes.
Right.
My parents lived in communes.
Wow.
Out in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, outside Portland, Oregon, Bend, Oregon, outside, in Colorado, different places. So I always thought it was very powerful. I thought that it was definitely, it sounded a little dangerous, and I think it's cool, but it probably did lose you one or two corporate gigs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I actually had one couple book me and go, listen, is there any way you could just not say your DJ name? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you know how DJs have like their drops and stuff? They were like, could you just not?
There's no way they said drops.
Yeah.
No,
I'm like,
they said, how they play their name or something.
Probably. I don't know. Yeah, probably.
I don't know what a drop is, man.
Yeah. That's what I was.
You're interpreting. I know.
Right. And I'm like, I don't usually do that anyway, And they're like, okay, cool. And they were like, well, what about like, do you have any banners or anything with your name on it? And I'm like, no. I was like, I have a sticker on my computer that says DJ Climax. They were like, oh, well, you think you could cover that up?
Jesus Christ.
Swear to God. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, as long as you're paying me, I'll be DJ Rockin' Bob if you need me to be. Like,
Rockin' Bob is pretty good, not bad. I mean, have you thought about doing a second name or having a second like alter ego? Because that's definitely a thing. I mean, a lot of the techno DJs, for example, or even Buku, right? He's this local dubstep, I would say, artist who has this new project, which is a house or techno project, and so he used a different name. There's a lot of examples.
Yeah, right.
Caribou and Daphne is another one.
Right.
But I mean, there's RL Grime is, I think, like two or three other artists.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You could.
Yeah, I thought about it. During that, but everybody's just like, dude, you gotta stick with Climax, man. We just love it. We just, and I just always stuck with it. But like I said, like, it's one of those words everybody, immediately goes to the gutter with, right? Like, oh, you're DJ Climax, and then like it's even more weird when like your mom introduces you to somebody and she goes, oh, this is DJ Climax, my son, and I'm just like, like it's just weird, but I mean, I'm the climax of the night, basically. You know what I'm saying?
I hope not. Yeah, no, the music was never supposed to be. The music was always supposed to be an opportunity to meet someone and have a relationship with afterwards, right? I mean, that's how I always thought about it. As a DJ, it was like my role was never to be the highlight of the night. My role was to connect people, to set people up, to have to take somebody home, at least in some gigs, depending on the thing. But no, I hear you. Like the climax of the night, high point of the night, high point of the evening.
Right.
There's a literature also about guitar solos, which is the same for DJ solos if you're scratching, or for a DJ performance, performance,
right?
Which has to do, and it's also the same thing with literature, which has to do with intro, exposition, climax, and denouement, which is the egress or the afterplay.
Yeah, right.
So do you think about those phases when you're constructing like a wedding set or something like that? Like there's this peak and then you're kind of
like I kind of do that now. Like I like Saturday nights I'm at Enclave down,
I can't wait to go
on Carson. And
is it every Saturday?
Yeah, if I'm not at a wedding. So
who does it if you're not?
So right now we got like three of our main me included, but it's me, B Ren, and Solo Dolo.
Where do I know the name Solo Dolo from?
He does a lot, man. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
Does a lot of gigs.
Yeah. And B Ren was there when I saw you at Gold Rush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very solid.
Oh, solid.
He's a dad too. I remember he posted some Father's Day stuff, right?
No. You're thinking of
I'm
Bryce.
thinking of Bryce.
Yeah,
Bryce Gordon and B Ren.
Yep.
I can't tell the difference. One of them is a big TikTok.
B Ren's a beast. Yeah, he does all the TikTok stuff.
He has more. Does he have more than 100,000 followers on TikTok?
I think so.
One of Wade Anthony, again, his points in the last episode that I published was there's no one in Pittsburgh with 100,000 followers on social media that still lives here.
Yeah, probably not. He's probably right.
I was kind of crazy to hear, though, because, obviously Bonix has left.
Right.
Wiz has left. Mac died.
Right.
What happens? Like, if you're about to pop, you just, like John Geiger.
Yeah, right.
Chuck the deuce and you're in LA?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's the new spot, right? I guess if you start to get a little popular, you just go out to the West Coast. I don't know.
Could you ever imagine living anywhere else?
Oh, yeah. I love Pittsburgh. I love being from Pittsburgh. But I would live somewhere. Like, I hate the weather here. I hate, for instance, like I just came back from Aruba.
Yeah.
Not saying I would be living in Aruba, but like, you go to Florida, you go to LA, and you fly back from those places to Pittsburgh. It's like flying out of like a colored TV and then like a black and white TV. And it's just so depressing. Every time you fly back into Pittsburgh, it's gray, rainy, and just sucks the life out of you.
Like watching Wizard of Oz in reverse.
Right. You only get so many nice days in Pittsburgh, and I love it. Like the city's nice, it's small, it's convenient, right? It's not like a New York or a Philadelphia where you're like it would take you a day and a half to get across town. That's one thing I love about it. But yeah, if I could move somewhere where it's if I could move to San Diego where it's like 78 degrees every day, I would be there in a heartbeat. But
what's holding you back?
I don't know. Family that live here, I guess.
Your sister's still here? Yeah,
everybody's still here. We're still like a tight knit family too. You know what I mean? Like every holiday, every birthday, we're all together. But no, I mean it's now that I'm growing. Like you know what I mean? Like I would like to branch out, but it's hard to leave where you're from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless I have something set in stone to go do it, I would go do it. But just to like go out there and kind of figure it out, I don't know. Different, I guess.
So the only other place I've really DJ'd and lived with good weather is South Florida and Charleston. I'd say the scene in Charleston is wide open. A lot of weddings because it's very much like a bachelorette wedding destination town.
Okay.
But it's also tiny.
Yeah.
So there's no real club scene. There's a few lounges, like 4 or 5 lounges on King Street, but no real club scene to speak of. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh doesn't really have a club scene other than what? Cavo and
Enclave,
right?
That's it.
The 2 clubs.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy D's is more like a bar, but like their top floor is like a club. But
kind of.
I would still consider that a bar.
Are you doing bottle service at Enclave?
Yeah,
is mainly bottle service kind of joint.
Yeah, it's bottle service, and like I hate bottle service, to be honest with you.
What? So,
I hate bottle service clubs, man. It ruin everything. In Pittsburgh, they do.
Yeah,
they definitely do.
Is it because of the haves and have-nots, and it kind of kills the dance floor? Or you have to play for you have to play for the people with bottles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you have to like. Do you remember Scenario?
Of course.
Right, Nugget owned that.
Yeah. 11th
Both
Street or
owned that,
12th Street
right?
or something.
Nugget was like, listen, when we first opened this, I did not want to do bottle service. He wanted to do bottle service. He was like, I did not want to do it because he knew, just like how I know now, you get bottle service in Pittsburgh, and you're charging people $800 for a bottle of Sky vodka in Pittsburgh. Like they think they own the club now. They buy 2 bottles of that. They're like, listen, play my song. I just spent, $1,600. Play this. Now you feel obligated. Like I want them to come back. I want them to keep spending money.
Yeah.
Play that song that I told you not ever to play. That's kind of how it is in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So that's why I hate bottle service, because then like people think they control the club, and that's how it is. It's not like New York. You go there, that people have the money. You know what I mean? They're there for a reason. They're just there having a good time. They get it. You're in Marquee or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. There's also like there's not a big bottle service scene in New York City.
Right.
As far as I know. You
Right.
know, all the places that I went to, it was very democratic.
Right.
The entitlement that you're talking about wasn't a big thing. It was much more this kind of free for all. The scene I miss in New York was the Brooklyn scene at Glasslands.
Okay.
At 285 Kent or 385 Kent, whatever it was, on Kent Street, where you had people like Chrome Sparks, Alex Burkett, a lot of kind of avant-garde electronic music, pushing the envelope about what was dance music, and that was definitely a cool time. I remember LCD Sound System was also big at the time. I was really into LCD Sound System, and then the guys in Gowanus Grove were the other people that I really liked.
Okay.
It was a crew that's still doing parties at the House of Yes. That's the other venue, which is incredible in New York and Brooklyn, I think. There's new shit though now. Like they have the Brooklyn Mirage. I've been seeing photos from.
Yeah.
Of like, looks like they got 5,000 people in there.
Yeah.
Outdoor, and it's got like I saw photos from Dom Dalla playing there.
Wow.
They're just
wow.
Flames and lasers and
that's great. That stuff blows my mind, man. That production, like, I would say like, Cavo and Enclave, like they do got good production. Cavo's, got the big chandelier. They got a lot of good lights. Enclave though, I gotta give them props though. Those guys, like I've been working with those dudes that own that place for, 15 years, back when they owned Club Zoo and the Strip.
Yeah, yeah.
Exit.
Is that Furman?
Yeah, the Furmans. Yeah, Chris and Brandon. Good dudes, man. They know what they're doing. They've owned so many different clubs. They know the deal. You know what I mean? They got Enclave, the old Rex, during COVID. They really put some, great lights, best sound. I think it's the best sound system in the city for sure. You haven't had a chance to come through.
No,
I can't wait.
To it.
Definitely like production, like they got everything so far, and they just keep adding on.
Bamboo says he has the best sound system in Pittsburgh.
You know what? He could be right. I have yet to check that place out, man, and I really want to.
It's cool. It's a little, it's not a huge dance floor.
Right.
It's a lot bigger than Goldmark.
Right, but
it's intimate for sure.
Listen, I wanted to go there. Like like I started DJing around the same time I think Bamboo started, because I remember going, I think it was Mad Mike. Like Mad Mike started to just have DJs come over just to like practice.
Yeah.
And I remember going over there with Bamboo, like we were both brand new, like just trying to like fit in, you know what I mean? And I know he was always so creative, and like I wish I gotta check that place out, because I'm sure he probably does have really good sound in that place.
Yeah, he was telling me stories about, you know, having somebody from the company actually showed up to tune the sound system, and you know, it's all I don't know. You gotta have a guy like that. Like Enclave, we have a sound guy, comes in, does the controller board, hooks everything up, make sure it's all. Somebody runs
good.
Lights with you.
Yep. Somebody runs the lights, somebody runs the sound, and then like I have Brandon Furman, like he'll MC the night, so he'll have the microphone in the back. I don't have to worry about getting on the mic. He controls it all, and like we're just like a good team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he knows by now like what I'm kind of playing next. He knows like when I'm dropping things, so like he'll be texting me too. You know what I mean? And I'll
cool.
Look down at my phone, and he'll be like, you know, play this next song. Like I got a big bottle coming out. You know what I mean?
So you guys are in separate locations.
Yeah. So yeah, he's in the back of the room. I'm in the front. I can see him though, vaguely through the smoke. But you know, he'll text me, and it's cool to have. And he's like a DJ from back in Club Zoo. He used to do all that. So having another set of ears back there, because you know sometimes up in front of me, I can only see what's in front of me, and the vibe might be completely different in that back of the room.
Could you throw like a GoPro and a little monitor in the booth?
I probably could. Yeah. But like he'll tell me, he'll be like, hey, song ain't working. Switch it. You know what I mean? And I'll trust him, because like he's a DJ. He knows the vibe back there. Sometimes it gets so foggy, honestly, and the lights that are right on top of me, I can only see so far out into the club. It's crazy at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's so interesting. I mean, it's not like you're letting these joints run for 5 minutes anyway, right? Like what difference is it going to make if you get a text message or not? Like the next song's coming up. Right.
Like one verse and I'm out of there. But yeah, it's just I guess noted for the next time I'm there. Like, hey, man, we don't play this.
Yeah. But he should just write it down in a notebook and tell you the next day. Looking at your cell phone when you're trying to DJ to me is not the move.
It is. So like I know, right? So I'll like, you know, I'll look down, I'll see it light up, and I'll just be like, oh, okay, you know, play this song at 1:45. Because he organizes all the bottles and stuff coming out, because he's on the microphone, right?
Okay.
So he's like trying to like hype them up. So, you know, sometimes he wants me to drop a certain song or something like that. I don't
know if I could do it. I don't
know,
man.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, a big part of DJing was always about total freedom.
Yeah, right.
And the idea that, like, even the idea of the request, the idea of anybody kind of coaching or coercing or altering the path that I want to take through the night.
Right.
It's nerve-wracking. I think, you know, I get it. He's kind of your boss, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, right.
It's not like when I'm at, in my neurology job, like if they tell me what don't prescribe Keppra, I'm not going to prescribe Keppra.
Yeah,
right. I do
That's
what my
how
boss
it is,
says.
man. Yeah. But I got to say, like, they do give me the freedom. You know what I mean? Like, it's mostly, like, Enclave's mostly, like, a hip-hop spot. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't play a lot of EDM and stuff in there now.
Really?
No.
In the South Side? What's the crowd like?
The crowd's good. I mean, here's the thing about the hip-hop crowd, right? I'm used to having the energy. I love playing EDM because I love the energy EDM brings to the dance floor.
Hence your Wednesday party. Gold
exactly. Rush. I love people jumping. I love people.
Tonight.
Like, yeah.
Tonight at Gold Rush. This episode, there's no way this will be out by then.
No. It'll be over.
Wednesdays.
Right. Yeah, like the energy, like I love people just jumping. Like I feed off that. I read that, right? The hip-hop crowd now, especially with the hip-hop music that's out now, the slow hip-hop, you're talking like 60 beats per minute, 55 beats per minute. Did you hear
there hasn't been a #1 hip-hop album or single?
And I believe it. 100%.
All of 2023?
100% believe that.
How is that possible?
Exactly. Because
is it because J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick, nobody dropped?
I just think like music, man, hip hop's just so bad. But I come from listening.
What about Wiz's new album? It's good.
Is it? I didn't even hear it yet.
You gotta listen. Wiz is snapping again. He went back to the pad and pen.
Wow. See, that's how bad hip hop's been. Where like I'm not even
Not even like you know it's going to be terrible, so you're not even
that. I just like I'll listen to it when I listen to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're not like on Hip Hop DX looking for the
I'm
drop
not like, oh my
dates
god, like
and,
I can't wait.
I have to download this.
That's
soon
how
as
it used to
out.
be. Now it's like it's not like that, man. I don't like new hip hop. Like I said, all the big hip hop bangers.
Yeah.
Are like 55 to 65 beats per minute. So now when you're playing it, it's like boom, clap.
I don't believe
boom,
in 55 to 65,
clap.
by the way. So this is actually pretty significant, I think, for DJing. You should not have BPMs that are more than double each other.
I get
so like
saying.
For me, the range, and this is also a setting in Serato, but for me, it's 70 to 140.
Right.
So if it's 55,
right.
it's 110.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
And that's intentional because I want to see all the 110 records with the other 110 records. I don't want 55 to be separate from 110. There's no reason for it.
Right.
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 Even though the energy levels would be very different, they would blend perfectly.
Some of them, though, the way they build like the beats with their snares, and it's just like you can't really mix some of those in with the regular 110s. And like,
which has to do with the groove, I guess, yeah.
So it's just like I'm DJing in slow motion, right? I'm like on the turntables, like slow motion, and then everybody on the crowd, they're not going crazy. They're like this. They're with their their $800 bottle of Sky vodka, and they're just out there,
lean with it, rock with it,
right? And
wasn't that the beginning of this kind of like slow rap? Was the snap rap, lean with it, rock with it?
It's just like it doesn't build the energy. Now there are some songs,
Shawty snapping, buy you a drink,
right?
All of that, right?
Right. It's like it's just sing along stuff. That's how that's how like the clubs are now, basically. I don't want to say all of them, but like the one like at Enclave, like it's basically like a sing along. Like sing, you're having a vibe, you're in your VIP, whatever. That's it. And then like we'll pick up the energy. Don't get me wrong. Like there'll be times, but like I just wish I could have that full energy, people going nuts the whole time.
You need Moombatone. We need to bring back Moombatone.
Right. Need something.
That was what was popping when I was really, really focused on music, what? 2010, that 2011.
That like Baltimore club stuff
also
has been very popular now. Like everything's coming back like that. I Want to Rock, like Little Uzi Vert.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, and now like, the Baby has Shake Some. That's like a big song I play at Enclave now. It's like 74. Whatever.
Well, it's Philly, right? Philly has that sound. I think they call it like juke or Philly footwork. There's the New Jersey.
I got you.
New Jersey and Philly both have like footwork sounds. And like you said, Baltimore Club is the same idea. For people that aren't big music people, it's sort of like very repetitive, 130 beats per minute house music, but it's not soulful house. It's one or two samples repeated over and over again with certain classic drum sounds.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
It's a good tempo.
Yeah, yeah. That party that I was talking about on the north side, I wish I could remember the name of the venue. Whatever. It was a Baltimore Club in Miami Base party.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, like, you can't really do theme nights in Pittsburgh, I feel.
It's tough, man.
Can you?
Pittsburgh is just tough.
It used to be drum and bass, and then there's the two-step garage. Or, what is it? UK garage. Two-step and UK garage night. Two-step Tuesdays.
Yeah, right.
There was drum and bass. The Bloomfield Bridge Tavern had a drum and bass night.
Yeah.
My dude Kev does a reggae thing.
Right.
On Wednesdays sometimes, I think, maybe. Trying to DJ with him. Who else has a theme night? The Goldmark tries to do these theme things.
Right.
Wednesdays and Thursdays with, I guess, Wednesdays are EDM and Thursdays are funk.
Yeah, it's like, I think it switches like literally every week. Every week it's like something different. Like, for instance, like our Gold Rush EDM night is just every third Wednesday.
Yeah. Every
other Wednesday, though, they have something different kind of going on. And I think, like, some of them do, like, kind of the same stuff, like EDM. But I think they do, like, I think they do switch it up, like, every once in a while. Like, they have different nights.
Different takes on
I'm trying
EDM.
to think of some of the other things they
Baseburg,
do.
There's...
yeah.
And then Thursdays, like, Groove Theory and Selecta.
Right.
So the idea is to have consistency like it was a weekly party. So that if people show up, they know what they're getting, so that you have these regulars that are like, I go to Goldmark on Wednesdays, regardless of if it's Climax is party or if it's...
Right. You're kind of getting something similar.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if it works out in real life though. I think people go to see somebody they want to see.
Yeah,
they don't
right.
go to hear like a style of music. They go to hear
Right.
a person. They go because they
Yeah,
like
right.
a single person. They like a DJ.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Which is hard. I mean, I think it would probably be very challenging to run a weekly EDM party
It's
anywhere
tough.
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's tough, man. It's tough, especially EDM. I mean, you got like the EDM, like the EDM heads out there. There's only few of them, and then to have them come back out though every single month,
Yeah.
it's tough. You can get them. You can organize something where you can have a killer EDM party. But like, don't expect to have that every week, because like those guys, they start to like, thin out, and then like nobody's coming out. It's such a small city.
What have you tried for promotions?
Yeah, you don't get nothing.
I
said,
have you tried like Reddit, like Meetup? Have you done any kind of giveaways or any like special ideas to promote it, like NFTs or I don't know. Anything?
No, nothing crazy like that. But I mean, like we did our promotion, like Facebook ads, Instagram ads.
Does that shit work?
To me, no. I honest to God, I think every dollar that I spent on something like that, it was just a complete waste. Because I'm telling you, when I did my live streams during COVID, I would do that. Right?
It was on Twitch?
Yeah.
Or?
I would do like I would spend like hundreds of dollars on Instagram for like ads, right?
Oof.
I would then check like, all the stats from it and like everybody it was going to. And now I would control like the area, right? 60 miles from the center of Pittsburgh and out, right?
But why? Why do you care who listens to your stream?
So anyway, just to set this up, I would pick like around Pittsburgh, New York, Miami, whatever. I would go look at the stats and it would be like 500 people from Haiti.
That shit is fake.
600
right?
people from Nigeria.
Yeah, that's not real.
All fake. And I'm just like, but
that was for what Instagram was giving you?
This was what I was paying. Like,
so
this wasn't
Zuckerberg
like
was literally just stealing your money.
Stealing my money. I'm telling you. Like, how you could go on websites now and pay for the fake likes, the fake, all that stuff. That's what it felt like.
We were talking
but I'm
about
like,
that with
listen,
Basic.
I'm giving real money to Instagram, and I'm looking at it, and the only people interacting are people from all these different third world
I remember
countries.
buying Facebook ads right at the beginning and feeling like this was like a total hack. Like
Yeah.
it was one of the coolest
I'm
things
telling you, it
ever.
is.
You could literally target how old the person was, their gender, where they lived in the world, what their interests were. So you
Right.
could like target in, you could zoom in
Right.
on this demographic. It was truly, it felt like magic. I mean,
Right.
it was a totally different ball of wax from putting up a flyer, which was what I came from, like hanging flyers in Oakland, with Bonix, going around
Exactly.
like posting flyers for his Z Lounge gig or something.
Right.
It's like, we had this new technology, but I feel like, I don't even have a Facebook anymore. I haven't for 5 years.
It's awful.
And Instagram,
I'm telling you, it's a
I would
scam.
never advertise on Instagram. I won't even get verified on Instagram because I don't have a Facebook
Right.
account.
I'm telling you, it's a scam because I want you to try to contact somebody through Instagram to dispute those charges, and you can't. Because listen, I tried to call Instagram like, hey, you guys are, ripping me off. You can't get a hold of it. You think you're going to talk to somebody from Instagram to like give you your money back? It ain't happening. And once they got that money, it's over.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
So like I would look at all these stats and I'm just like, this is wild. Like nobody from around here is liking any of this stuff that I'm posting.
Yep.
Not even one.
Were you getting like 50, 100 people on the streams or not even?
Nothing.
Nobody
nothing.
watched.
No,
There was
I mean
a lot of competition.
Yeah, so like when
Everybody was doing it.
I started out on Twitch, I was getting like 30 to 40 people watching every episode that I would do every Sunday.
That's actually really good.
Right. So that was great. And then after that year, I was expecting, I put a lot of money into the streams, marketing, stuff like that.
And all your gear. You bought cameras, green screen, everything.
Oh my God, I had everything. And the graphic, like that was my department. Like the graphic design and the virtual stuff that I had like behind me and things that I was doing was like way above what anybody else was doing.
That's something you're interested in, or
yeah,
you do
so
your own
people
stuff?
would watch and be like, "That's ridiculous. How are you doing this?"
I like DJ Spades. Have you ever seen him or know who he is? Spade, Spaed. He's like drum and bass, pure drum and bass guy, and I love his production.
Yeah,
like it's really like. I don't want to use the word ghetto. It's sort of like low tech or something, but it's super, what's the word? There's a lot going on.
Right.
So like it's, there's the video background. He's got multiple GIFs up. He's got like a little TV that's playing a movie in the corner.
Right.
Even though like the resolution is not great, it feels like you're on a journey. So
I spent hours getting the best resolution, the best graphics. I would spend all week plotting my different scenes. Right. If I had a guest, I would make all new scenes for like specific for that guest. Like I had Frank White from Boston.
Yeah, he was just here.
So I had.
Shout out to Little Lucy Analog. Yacht Rock, Yacht Brunch, and etc.
I had like the Boston Red Sox screen like at their stadium. Like I had him up on that, and I had like a crowd there like cheering him on. Like I had all this stuff, and people would be like blown away. And I'm like, why am I only getting 20 people watching this? Like,
what
and then
I would
the
go. Answer was Instagram was fucking up, or
no? I mean, I just wasn't like some at the time. Like you would go click on people would be like, hey, check this out, and it would be some 40-year-old mom in pajamas pretending to DJ, and she had 20,000 people viewing it. And I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, I'm done with this. Like I'm done with this. Like I have my guest tonight is DJ Nugget and like Zimmy or somebody, and I'm like, I can only get 30 people, but this mom in pajamas with her button undone has 20,000 people watching her just train wreck 2 songs together. Yeah. And I'm just like, that was just like that definitely just put me in a bad state. And then like after a year, I'm like, once I wasn't getting up into like the hundreds, I'm just like,
what'd you do during the pandemic?
That was it. Nothing. Just DJ to myself, and that was actually pretty cool.
How'd you survive?
Well, that goes back to the police thing, man.
Yeah.
So
let's get back there.
So the police thing, so after I became the neighborhood resource officer, before I even started that, I moved to Crafton Heights, over in the West End. Literally 3 months into that, situation happened where I have neighbors. Now I have all new neighbors. I don't know who they are. Whatever. So we had like a drug house on our street, whatever, selling drugs that I didn't really know about it until further down the line, I figured it out. But anyway, there was a car. He was like, blocking my driveway when I came home from work at like 11. Now think, I just worked, 8 hours on the street. I'm coming home. There's a car blocking my driveway. I'm sitting there for like a couple minutes, beeping, whatever. After a couple of minutes, he like pulls over. Right, lets me get in my driveway. Well, he gets out of the car, starts to walk over. I get out of the car. Now I'm in full uniform, right? Full police uniform. I get out of the car. He stops dead in his tracks. Like, oh shit. And I'm like looking at him like, yeah, oh shit. Like you didn't think I was a cop getting out of the car, right? So he just kind of mean mugs me and walks away. And then, 2 days later, I'm at work and we have a big domestic situation where like we had to run in, guns drawn. This guy's like beating this girl to death. He's on PCP, cocaine, some other drugs. He's literally a zombie. He turns and looks at me. I'm telling you, he wasn't there. It was a zombie. It was like something out of a movie. I pull my taser out. I'm like, stop. He comes running at me. I hit him with the taser. He falls, gets immediately right back up. Shoot him again, falls, gets right back up, grabs onto my legs and kind of like twists me down the steps. So now we fall down like a full flight of like 16 steps.
Your sidearm is still holstered.
Still there. Point. I get down there. I had to like, fight with this guy. Now, like, I can fight, but like when someone's on PCP and cocaine and stuff like that, when you're hitting them, they're not feeling it.
Right.
Like I was like hitting this, like, I mean, there was blood. Like,
oh my God.
I'm fighting for my life, right? It took 10 of us to hold this guy down. And then we had to get paramedics to come in and shoot him with something that like knocked him out so we could cuff him and get him out of there. That's how crazy. So I got jacked up that night. I was like really, like my back was messed up. My wrist was jacked up. So the next day I go to Concentra because that's where the city sends you right away. And I go there. Now, remind you, this is 2 days after I had this incident with this guy on my street. I go to Concentra. I could barely drive. I was like getting out of the car, like, jacked up. I go there. They put like a huge brace on my like wrist. I had like a concussion. So anyway, I'm leaving there and I'm driving down, back to Giant Eagle to get my prescription, my pain medication. And we're going through Chartiers Avenue, over in the West End by the Comcast building, and this car comes flying up on my bumper, right? I'm in a school zone, 15 miles an hour.
Same car you were driving as when the guy
I didn't
blocked
know
you
this
in.
at the time. Didn't know this.
But it was the same car.
It was the
you had
same
the same
car.
Same license plate, everything.
Same car. So
not
I
a marked vehicle. It's a
right.
It's
but
your civilian car.
Right. And the only reason why it's noticeable was it was a brand new Mercedes-Benz, blacked out, black 20-inch rims, 5% window tint. Like, you knew that car.
Go ahead, Bobby.
You know what I'm saying?
Go
Like, I was
ahead,
balling
Bobby.
for a second, right?
5% tint, so you can't see up in my window.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said when I bought that car. So I'm cruising. This car comes up. He's beeping, whatever. I'm like, I'm talking to my buddy on the phone. He could hear it. That's, he's like on my ass beeping. And I'm like, some idiot. Don't know. It's a school zone. I'm still talking to him because he's moving in with me at my new house, like in the next week. We get up to a stop sign. He comes up, pulls next to me, and I could see him at a corner of my eye, like just saying shit, and he drives off, right? Drives off around the bend. I go up, go sit in the Giant Eagle parking lot, and I'm sitting there, and then my phone rings, and a buddy from my police academy is calling me. I'm like, I pick it up. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, where you at right now? I'm like, Giant Eagle, what's up? And he's, oh, never mind. Click. I'm like, that was weird, right? Then another buddy from my police academy calls me. Same thing. Where you at? You okay? Yeah. What's up? Somebody else just called me. Click. I'm like, that was weird, right? Original dude calls me back. He's like, hey, man, just wanted to call you. We had a 911 call saying, somebody in a black Mercedes pulled a gun on somebody in a road rage incident. I'm like, now thinking of what I just happened, that was so minor. That guy beeping at me, that happens every day.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sitting in Giant Eagle right now. He's like, I know. He's like, he gave me the wrong, plate number, but I started like doing my police work, start punching in different numbers, and I hit a black Mercedes, and it was yours. So I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know what you're talking about. He was like, don't worry, like this dude's rambling. It doesn't make sense, whatever, click. Fast forward 3 months later, I'm still on light duty, right? I'm still like dressed up like how you are now.
Yeah.
Working the phones at Zone 1, and I walk in.
Yeah,
and
because
like,
of the injury.
Right.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and they're like, hey, this guy, Ed Green from Internal Affairs is here to see you. And we were like, don't say anything to him until you have like an FOP representation with you. I'm like, what? So we go up, we sit down, and the dude's like, I'm starting to like realize who this dude is, right? This guy. I'm like, I know him from somewhere. Rewind a little bit back here. Sorry, this is like a story. Do you remember the Running Man Challenge video?
Maybe.
It was like a viral thing on YouTube where like it would be like an office, right? And they would play like a song, and they would just start like doing like the Running Man dance, and like and then like NBA teams started doing it, and like sports teams, and then they would challenge like another sports team to do it. Philadelphia does like a big Running Man challenge, and they challenge Pittsburgh and like Boston or something. So like the PR lady comes to me like, hey, I know you're a DJ. I know you have connections with like video and stuff like that. Do you want to take the lead on this? I was like, yeah. So I go out, I get my own videographers, best in the country, bro. They were like, we'll do this pro bono for free because we want the million hits on YouTube. Like, cool, great. I got the best. We go sit down in this meeting. One of the chiefs bring in this guy, and they were like, yeah, this dude's going to shoot the video. He's from Internal Affairs. Same guy. Now, this is the same dude now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, yeah, he's not shooting the video. These guys are shooting the video. He got so mad. He got up like from the meeting and just stormed out of the room. Fast forward now, back to my guy coming in Internal Affairs. It's the same dude.
Oh, shit. You pissed him off in the past because you dissed him when you had your own boys do the video.
Exactly. So now
Why'd you diss the dude from Internal Affairs, Bobby? What the fuck,
So now he
man?
comes in. Now what happened was this dude kept calling, saying, how come there's no reports being done? I know this is a police officer that did this to me. And I'm like thinking, like, how do you know it was a police officer? You can't see me inside my car, and I didn't even have gear on. There's nothing on my car that says, hey, I'm a cop. So I'm like, that was weird. How does he know I'm a cop? How is he saying this? So anyway, he ends up talking to the commander of the zone. The commander ends up writing a report, sending it to Internal Affairs. It goes on this dude's desk. He sees my name, and he's like, oh, Kramer, let me look into this, right? Looks into it, goes, interviews the guy, doesn't interview me, doesn't get my side, anything. Just basically took this guy's word and was like, you know what? I'm going to file arrest paperwork on him.
On
On
Bobby
me.
Climax?
On Bobby Climax, man.
No.
Does it, right? Now, there's so much more to this story
so
that
confused. Is the guy from Internal Affairs the same guy that was not that was trying to get past you or that was blocking your driveway?
No, so that was just a
Two
random
different people.
guy.
Yeah. You pissed off the guy from Internal Affairs and you pissed off a guy who was trying to who was blocking your driveway.
Right.
They both were pissed off, but separately, the one called 911 on you and the other one screwed you nuts to the wall because he hated you because you didn't use him for a video.
Right. So he basically took that, once that guy, went to Internal Affairs and had a report done on me, that guy took it over, this Ed Green, and was like, hey, like, I'm gonna go all in on this Kramer dude. So he started to like not even do his thorough investigation. He just kind of skipped a bunch of stuff. Was like, I'm just going right after him. So I come to find out the guy who originally, was blocking me and called 911, drug dealer from Detroit, was arrested 16 times, did 10 years for a homicide. Very credible guy, right?
Sure. Yeah. Sounds like an upstanding citizen.
Outstanding. During this whole process, like he got arrested twice, like during this whole court process that I'm going to tell you about. But yeah, it's just like it was almost like make believe. He's telling now I go to meet with him at the zone and he's like, hey, I got a warrant for your silver revolver. He was like, we could either go kick your door down or we could go get this. And
were you carrying a revolver? So
that was one of the 13 guns that I've owned.
Yeah.
I own a silver
but
revolver.
You would carry it to work?
No. So this is the whole thing. He was just saying
I
pulled a gun on him.
Revolver if I were a cop.
So he's like,
I love revolvers, but I would never take one to work with me as a cop. I would,
no.
I would want
we
like
have
15, 16.
We have a Glock. We have to carry Glock.
I would want 15, 16 in the mag every time. I'm not dealing with 6 shots.
Yeah, no. That was just
even
like
7.
That would be like your secondary weapon considered, right?
Yeah.
We all carry Glocks.
Like a 357 or 38 in the glove box or I don't know, something. 45. A 45 in the center console or something. Just for funsies.
Something easy. But yeah, so he was saying, I pulled this gun on him or whatever. And he told him it was a pistol. And then, like, basically what happened when the detective sat down, he had all my guns. And he laid them out and was like, does any of these look like the gun?
Where did he get your guns?
Because it's just like a quick search. Like any call. Like, I could search and see what guns you own.
Did he physically have your gun?
Oh, yeah. So he took pictures. He had them out. And he was like, does it look anything like these? And the guy was like, oh, yeah, it looks like this one.
Okay. These were photographs of your guns. These were not your actual firearms on the table.
No.
Okay.
Photos. So he was like, yeah, it looks like that one. He was just like, oh, cool. Yep, that's enough. He owns that. So
this is like, just the whole thing sounds like a fucking kangaroo court.
So then they made the detective do a photo array with me, right? He prints out 8 pictures to show the guy. One of them is in full Keller. You want to guess whose picture was in full Keller? This guy's. Would you also believe, right? Would you also believe he still did not pick me? He circled 2 other people, but mine was one in Keller, and he still didn't circle it. So not only did they not have a photo array identifying me, they still went on. And now at this time, I'm all freaked out because now I'm like, this can't be happening.
Were you put on like leave of absence at some point, or you were still working throughout this whole time?
Not at this time.
Yeah.
I'm starting to do my own investigation in my head. Who's this guy? What's the deal? I go on, I find him on Facebook. He's a cop hater. Everything he had on Facebook was just bashing police. He would show up to scenes and like film and try to like get them to do stuff, right? So the day after he said that I did this, I seen a video and I watched it and he starts talking about me. And he's talking about a different type of weapon. I was pointing it out the other side of the car.
Yeah. So what was his allegation?
His allegation was I pulled a silver pistol out of my driver's side window and pointed it at him. Didn't say a word, just pointed at him, and he drove away. That was his allegation.
And your recollection of the story was what you described earlier.
Yeah. So he came up, he was just swearing. I had a silver cell phone that was on the palm of my hand that I was talking on speaker. I'm like, oh, maybe he thought it was my silver cell phone. But then in my head, I'm
hard to confuse those two.
Right. And now I'm
in
like,
broad daylight.
Right. But now I'm like, I have 5% tin. He didn't see anything.
You never even had the window down.
No. So like that was a whole nother thing. So like it happened so fast. I didn't try to remember any of this, right? Because it's just like a normal.
And there's no recording, no dash cam, no internal, external, nothing.
Nothing. No witnesses.
My word.
Nobody's seen
my
anything.
word against his.
It's his word.
Meanwhile,
right?
You're a police officer.
I'm a credible
on the
police
force
officer at the time.
with Pittsburgh, who's never had any other problem with
No.
anything
No.
ever.
No.
No arrests.
I never had a complaint filed against me.
And he's literally a lifetime criminal who hates police officers.
Right.
Okay, so let's hear how it went down.
So, right. So now I go and I find this video, and he's like contradicting himself and saying a completely different story. And I'm like, hey, this detective needs to see this because he's saying a complete opposite of what he told the detective. And I go to my commander. I'm like, hey, they have to see this. And he's like, all right, I'll make sure they get it. He goes, gives it to the Internal Affairs supervisor. She gets it, tells him, do not make any arrests until you see this video. So what do you think the Pittsburgh police did to try to get this video? They went on his Facebook. They're not friends. Can't see anything.
Gave up.
Can't see it. That's it.
Wow.
Went and did the arrest paperwork. Wow. Never. Now, they had the dude's number. The dude's been calling him every day. They're like best friends now. He could have been like, hey, by the way, Jesse, can you give me your Facebook video that I heard? That, you know what I mean? He could have did that. No, they didn't do anything. He went right down and did the arrest paperwork, filed it. It went through. As soon as it went through, hit the news. Now I'm seeing myself on the news. Now the media's running with this whole crazy story. I immediately get fired. I had to go in front of my chiefs and describe the story. I brought in the video. They didn't even want to look at it. They were just like, listen, you know what? We got to fire you, whatever. And I'm just like, okay.
Meanwhile, we don't have... Meanwhile, there's DJs being shot up in the South Side. We've got violence and gun violence downtown Pittsburgh.
Right.
We've got a budget for 900 police officers. How many are there actually? I'm imagining 500-600. So hundreds of unfilled
when
positions.
I was there, the minimum was supposed to be 1,200. 1,200 cops. We only had 800. And half of those 800 are not, patrol officers. They're like sergeants, lieutenants, commanders. They don't work the street.
Yep.
So if you talk about 6 zones, 3 different shifts, you're talking about 400 guys.
We're talking about 1/4 of the positions which are in city council's budget, which I read this morning because I'm bringing Kari Mosley on the podcast shortly, are unfilled positions.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're railroading you for what sounds like a road rage incident at worst, and at best a nothing, a literal
so
nothing.
At this time, this was too like when a lot of things were popping off around
this is
the country.
George Floyd.
Yeah, this was like, things started popping up. So now it was like kind of like bad, like, they wanted to make an example out of the white police officer.
Wow. Wow.
And that's when they like ran with it. They were like, hey, listen, we're not going to be the bad guys and have the community come after us for not punishing this guy. We're just going to let the courts decide, basically is what they did. So they didn't really have they didn't even really have probable cause to arrest me. Like when I look back at it now. And so basically they arrested the paperwork. I had to go through all this crap. They said it was off duty, so I didn't have any FOP backing. I just bought a new house, new car, spent a lot of money. Now I have to go out and find my own attorneys, fight this. This went on for years, man. And they did everything they could to like postpone things.
So you're saying if you're a police officer, even if you're in full costume, full uniform, if you're not technically on the clock, the lawyers for the police don't help you?
They'll say if you're off duty and you do something or you incriminate yourself off duty, that's on you. Right? But when you're in the police academy, they tell you, even though you don't have that uniform on, you're a police officer 24/7. So if I see something off duty going on, I have to like step in and try to help. You have a responsibility. Right. I can't just run the other way, Yeah. So like if I'm a cop 24/7, then how come I don't have help 24/7?
Feels like a double standard to me.
Right. So anyway, I had to fight, that the whole time. Goes to court. I do a jury trial. Literally took them 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes. They came back. We got it. We know we got it. Come back. We got a verdict. They're like not guilty. because like we had like the detective lie, like he was making up lies on the stand that my attorney was catching. And it was crazy. Like he was saying, the detective actually said that he went with me to pick up the gun and observed me in my garage digging around in the rafters, insinuating to the jury, like, look where the bad guy hid the murder weapon up in the rafters, right? Like, is that a normal place where somebody would hide a gun? And I'm sitting there listening to this like, this is all bullshit, right? So I'm like hitting my attorney, like hitting him, like, hey, we got to go get pictures of my basement. My basement has 10-foot ceiling. My garage has 10-foot ceilings, and there's no ductwork. It's like this.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
yeah, nowhere you could have hit it.
I would have to get on a ladder.
Yeah.
So we caught him in all these lies. The jury knew it.
The real story was it was just in a locker or a case or something like that.
Yeah, it was in my safe that I got. Yeah. And he never got out of the car. And I had another cop testify that he never got out of the car. So he was just trying to, like, he got caught up in lies. He's trying to be the smartest guy in the room.
This is the prosecutor? Or this is the
detective. But the prosecutor is with him. You know what I mean? Like, they're buddy, trying to like pin this on me, but we caught him in so many lies, man. Shout out to Blaine Jones. Blaine Jones is...
This is your lawyer?
Yeah. He's a dude, like, I didn't want to go up against, like, when I arrest people, they would get Blaine Jones, right? So I'm like, I'm getting Blaine Jones. You want to play like that? We'll play like that. But, you know, Blaine roasted them in court. We go to an arbitration now after I was found not guilty. The arbitrator's like, yeah, you got to bring this dude back immediately. Like, you guys had no purpose of firing this dude. And they, like, would not bring me back. They would wait 30 days and appeal that decision, which never happened in the city of Pittsburgh before, because that's why we have an arbitrator, so we don't have to go to court. They're like, we appeal it. Goes to the court of common pleas. They come, we agree with the arbitrator. They're like, you guys have no basis to firing this dude. He was found not guilty. The guy lied on the stand. Appeal. Next court. It went to the PA Supreme Court. And they were like, listen, stop. Like, this is it. Bring the dude back to work. Pay him his money. And finally, they just never brought me back. No one called and was like, hey, you got to come back to work. They just never did it. And like, who do you like, you know, condemn for that? Like, who do you put in contempt of court for not bringing me back? The whole city of Pittsburgh? Like, who's in charge?
That's your boss. You know, the city of Pittsburgh, right?
Right. So like, they're not
council.
They're running the show, man. And then like the mayor's on, you know, the news bashing me, saying, oh, you know, even though he's coming back to work, we can't put him on the streets because he's a liar and stuff like that. And I'm like,
this is Ed Gainey.
Yeah, no, this was Peduto. And I'm like...
Bill Peduto, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like...
This is 2000, what year?
This is like 2018. 17,
okay.
18.
Yep.
And I'm like, how do you not believe me? Like, I didn't lie about one thing. This dude lied, and you're still bashing me. So at the end of the day, I filed like a huge lawsuit on them. Found out that the mayor got off on everything, because they said as long as he's acting as the mayor of Pittsburgh, he has like... He could say whatever. He could say whatever he wants.
Essentially,
so he could be like, "Hey, the Goldmark has rats. No one shows up. The Goldmark ruins, you know, Nuggets business. You can't get him in trouble for that."
This reminds me of what you were talking about with the South Side, with the death of the South Side. I don't want to get away from that too much. Oh, meanwhile, you and Wiz Khalifa both are caseless on your iPhones.
That's it.
You just put a little thing on the front, nothing on the back.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's all busted up, but whatever.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. That song was sampled. There's an incredible house record which samples just this little clip of the a cappella of Marvin Gaye saying, "You make me feel better. Oh, yeah. You make me feel better." Right. You remember that song?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do.
Yep. Yeah. So good.
But yeah, man, that whole thing was just like a nightmare.
What
to go
a
through.
fucking nightmare,
and
dude.
then,
I'm so sorry you went through all that.
Dude, it was like, you know.
Ultimately, did you get a lot of money from the city or no?
I don't even know if I'm even allowed to say that. I think it was part of the thing I wrote. But
do you feel, let me ask you this.
No.
Do you feel like justice was done?
No. Not at all. What I wanted, what I expected, I didn't get anything close to that.
How has it affected your your view of the way that America treats people that work in law enforcement, that work in EMTs, teachers, things like that?
So, you know, the big thing is the media, man. You see everything in the media now, and everybody's connected with their phones, and that's how they get their information. You know what I mean? Through social networks, all that stuff. and you can call out the lies. You know what I mean? You can call out the lies. You can be like, oh, this isn't that. What are they talking about? But until you actually go through it and you know 100% of the information, and then you see what the media is like saying and writing about you, it will blow your mind. Like I was like emailing reporters, like calling them out, like, what the fuck? Like, this is nowhere near true. And they just run with it. You know, I'm always going to be the accused cop that pulled a gun, even though like the dude lied on the stand and it all came out that it was all bullshit.
Right.
I still have that stain on my record, right? So seeing all that and seeing what the media was writing, and I'm like, none of this is true. How are they allowed to put that? Like, it's not even close to the truth. And now you like look at the big picture, like what's going on in politics and like bigger things like that, and you're just like, if it's happening to me, this is happening everywhere. And you see that first incident when, you know, you would see like the police video that pops up first day one, right? And you would look at it and be like, oh, that looks so bad. Oh my God, it looks so bad. Because you see that 5-second video clip. And then all of a sudden, you know, as the year goes on, the trial comes out, all the truth comes out, and you're like, oh, wow, there was a lot more to this. And then the media just kind of just doesn't even cover it anymore, right? It's just kind of like.
This is for your trial or for something else?
This is just like in general. Right, in general.
Yeah.
So like going through that. Like,
yeah, the
like
video doesn't always tell the whole story. That's for sure. The one video that did tell the whole story was the one in Charleston. That was the one where.
Wait, what was that one again?
It's a really, really damning case of a cop. I mean, just like a terrible, absolute, awful human being who, thank God, is in jail for the rest of his life. But there was a officer involved shooting. I forget the name of the guy who was killed, but I do think it was a white cop and black victim. But basically, there was a police chase. The guy chased him through a few different yards.
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
He hopped a couple fences. He was running away from the police officer after, I think, a traffic stop. The guy was running away. Somebody, thank God, had a cell phone, poked it through the fence, and started
know what
recording.
You're talking about.
Got the whole thing on camera.
I think so.
The guy's running away from the cop. Cop shoots him 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in the back. He dies, and then the cop walks over and plants a gun on him.
Oh, that's ridiculous shit right there. And you know what?
It's
like
insane.
People ask me all the time. They're like, you know, do you have bad cops in the city? You know, and honest to God, like out of all the people that I worked with in the city, I've never had one dude where I'm like, oh, that dude's sketchy. Like he's up to no good. I mean, there's so many cameras, body mics and stuff. Like it would be like some Ocean's 11 type shit to pull something off. You know what I mean? Like that. Now, when you go down to those suburbs, and like I said, like suburb cops, like they're not trained as good as city cops. City cops have money, they have a budget, they do training all the time. Like we had so much active shooter training, how to even talk to people a certain way. We had training on that. Like,
did you get enough training, do you think, on, and this kind of relates to the incident where you were tussling with the guy, but on hand-to-hand combat, wrestling.
Oh, yeah. See, that was another thing. Like
chokeholds versus neck holds, arm restraints,
when
things
we
like
were in
that.
the academy, we had like PT and stuff. And the guy running it, his name's Dave Wright. And he's like one of the biggest Krav Maga teachers like on the East Coast. He was our dude teaching us like all these.
Cool.
And like, you know, at first we would get in there, it'd be 8 a.m. We'd be bitching like, oh, PT. And then I'm thinking like, people pay this dude thousands of dollars for this training. And we're getting paid to take this training.
Yeah.
So then it like opened my head up. I'm like, okay, I need to like take this serious. And I'm glad I did because we got some of the best training there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still, I mean, are you staying fit? Like, are you
not as much
martial arts or working out, or what do you do?
No, not as much. Not as much anymore, man. You know, I'd play sports like deck hockey and stuff like that, baseball, just to get like, you know, just to run around. But I haven't been like training or doing any of that stuff, like keeping up with any of that. Like I'll go to like the gun range every once in a while just to stay fresh on like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I don't know. Like people are like, do you want to go back to be a police officer? And I'm like, no, not at all.
Not in this city or never anywhere?
Anywhere. Like even my sister, like I said, my sister, brother-in-law, they both work in the suburbs. They make triple the amount I did to basically, you know, not handle the amount of calls. And I'm still like, no, I don't want to go. Because like the thing now it's set up, and this is what's scary, man, with like cops now. the majority of the cops are the good guys. Like, you know what I mean? You'll have your bad apples in any zone, right? Or any police department. But like all the good cops don't get that recognition, like on the media throughout the day, whatever, like all the stuff they're doing constantly. Like right now, as we're talking, like, you know, well, last year I worked, I think there was like 2 million 911 calls, and only like 1% of those had like a use of force.
That's in America? Or?
In the city of Pittsburgh. So
2 million?
Yeah, so it was like a million.
Scott was the name of the guy, by the way.
Okay.
In North Charleston. Walter Scott, I think.
Okay. So yeah, it was like a million, and then like another million of just like, you know, pulling up on a call and having someone like flag you down, and like
2 million calls for what did he say, 800 officers?
Yeah, something like that, right? So now, and like, you know,
mind boggling.
And there was only, I think, about like 70 use of forces out of all those calls. Out of those 70, I think 10 of them were deemed like, you know, excessive force. And out of those 10, only 2 were deemed like, yeah,
it was a real problem.
So that's like 0.0000001% of the calls.
The big one that I've been trying to figure out and get to the bottom of, that I'm hoping to ask Mosley about. I don't know if he'll know the answer, but whatever, I'll try to figure it out. There have been a bunch of deaths from the jail downtown where people are like jumping off the roof that are in police custody. There have been 3 men who've died in the past year.
That's insane.
In police custody with suicide, jumping off the roof of the downtown police building. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, that's nuts. I didn't hear that.
Wild.
I would like to hear that too.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll see. I'll try to. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. We'll see. He has office hours tomorrow at Blue Sky. I think it's like a bar restaurant in East Liberty.
Okay.
And so maybe I'll try to pop over there. I saw him also at Selecta's 50th, which was
nice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
One of the craziest things I've ever seen in Pittsburgh, without a doubt. The Thunderbird was
Thunderbird's a cool spot.
Completely filled.
That's awesome.
From the very bottom floor
to
the rafters.
Yeah.
100% full. Every balcony, every single stage. And it was only DJs. No drum kit, no guitars.
Yeah.
No, no mics.
That's awesome.
Just
Thunderbird's
Black
a cool
Steel,
spot.
Just
cool
Black
spot.
Steel on the mic, who's, I think, Black Steel has to be one of the best hosts in Pittsburgh, maybe ever. Insane. I mean, his mic presence, like his hosting, emceeing was crazy. And then the other person who's really good, Femi.
Yeah.
Man, Femi on the mic is nuts.
Yeah, she's good, man.
She was doing this show with Dr. Dapp at Spirit Lounge called Tall Tees.
Okay.
Make sure you have fun, guys.
Yeah.
And she was leading this dance contest. Just really, really impressive mic presence.
Yeah.
Something that I hadn't seen in a long time.
That's awesome.
And Dapp is really solid on the turntables too. They have like a video that plays on loop. I kind of wish it was like music videos.
Right.
The show, like that specific genre of throwbacks where they're doing like 2000s. Now he has this like 2010s party or whatever, but the 2000s were just so good for music videos.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever got into that whole DJing.
No, I never did.
It's a lot.
Honestly, like
it's a lot.
When it first came out, I'm just like, no one's coming here to look at a music video on the TV. You know, that was my thought, but I never got into it.
Right. They want to meet girls, get drunk, meet girls.
Right. I mean, it's cool though. Like in different locations, it's I get it. You know what I mean? Like right now, like I'm at Putt Shack on Thursdays.
What's that?
It's the new like mini golf down in the Strip. You know, that would be something cool because they have a bunch of TVs. There's not a dance floor. People are just golfing. Like I could see the video DJs like having their stuff up there. I got
25,000 videos down on a hard drive that you passed right by on the stairs.
Jeez.
Be a miserable fucking party, man. I mean, the project, like not a miserable party, a miserable project. Digging those things off the hard drive.
Right.
Trying to decide if you want to, fuck that. I had to do it because I was DJing at the 5801 in Shady Side. I was a DJ there because I lived underneath. I lived in the basement for a year, 2 years, whatever. All right, we got to take a break and turn on this AC.
Yeah, I got to get out of here.
You're done?
Yeah.
All right, time for you to go rock?
Yeah, I got a haircut right down the street.
Oh, good. 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but he said I can be a little late, so.
All right. So much for the guest set.
I know, right? I think I gotta come back, man. I think we gotta do a follow up.
I mean, we barely got through. I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Right. I feel like we gotta stay tuned for episode 2 of Climax.
Yes, please. No, I'd love to have you back, man. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. We'll see if I can escape tonight and go see you guys.
Yeah, for
Goldmark.
sure.
Let's grab a
Appreciate
picture
it,
really
man.
quick.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for
sure.
coming on, Matt.
Appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
You're sweaty as fuck. You gotta
Yeah,
turn
it's
this shit
hot.
on. That's a crazy story, dude.